DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Monday night. It's weird. For the longest time, it was just John and I. It was like we had to socially distance, and then we got Shani, who was like in the middle, from John and I. So we added that, and now we got two people from Pennsylvania. Like we're really getting close to the social distancing, breaking it. But welcome. In case you didn't know, that's MJ down there. I think he's down.
Are we supposed to be wearing a mask?
Where's he at compared to me? Diagonally for me, so close enough. But yeah, so here's the deal. We got all four of us in here tonight. The band is back together, and so we are going to have some fun tonight. Lighthearted, enjoying ourselves. We might make you laugh. MJ will make you mad, but it'll all be good in the end.
But if you start feeling a little of the hater thing coming on, MJ's going to classify you and put you into his next speech. So you got that going.
There you go. So you might be inspiration.
Right there, I just felt like, you got the band back together. I felt like David Lee Roth when they put Van Halen back together. I know I'm welcome and liked, but I'm pretty soon probably going to say something that gets me kicked out again.
Hopefully your voice lasts better than David Lee Roth's voice did in his return. So tonight, in the title of our video, we were talking about looking into the Magic 8 Ball. And typically a Magic 8 Ball, you have a life question in which you wanted to ask. And that life question could be something about, does she like me? Ask again later. Instead of looking at it that way tonight, we're going to go back in time to a time when we were all a little bit younger and find out what some of those moments were and influences were and situations were of how we started and where we've come from to get to where we are today. And those moments possibly, where there was a decision to make in our career. Do we go left? Do we go right? When that Magic 8 Ball would have fit into that situation. But we're going to find out a little bit more about a lot of the folks here you've seen on DJNTV for quite a while with tonight's show. See how I tied that all in?
That was a good job.
Yeah. So let's just offer. Some of you have heard us talk about our origin stories, for lack of a better way to describe it, because I'm kind of a superhero comic book fan there, so I got to hit origin stories. Let's go back and look at where we're beginning. I want to go around the room, and the first thing I want to talk about, have you guys share, is one of your early musical influences, something that musically early on caught your ear and said, wow, this is pretty cool. Could be a song, could be an artist. Something that one of your earliest memories of a song that just clicked with you or an artist that just clicked with you. Okay, everybody have something. Shani, we're going to start with you, please.
I'm just glad to be here.
No, there's no points with tonight's show. That's next week's show or the game show.
Okay. Next week was points. I since we were all back, I just got really confused. I was about to go C. The answer is C.
C. Well, there was a 10cc group back a long time ago, but that was way before your time.
All right. So for me, in my early days, as a lot of people know, because I know we've talked about history before, I was a dancer. So just seeing an artist that had like a full production, not just somebody singing on stage or playing music, but having that full production of the lights and the music and dancers and the band and everybody just getting into it. That always used to just make me just sit there and just stare and be like, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. So for me, it was a lot of the like Motown artists that kind of did the dancing itself. If it was just them on stage or if they had, like a Tina Turner that, danced herself and had the dancers.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just love that full production all the way up till like Michael Jackson of just doing the crazy production stuff. So for me, it was those type of artists that just got me going like, wow, now that is why I love music, is seeing something like this come together because of the music.
Excellent. So I'm going to just for clarification or for classification in our show, Tina Turner is going to be the one that would be one of the early influences.
Yes.
There. We'll go around across the top. Dan, you are right. You would be next.
I'm next. Okay. I have to go with two. I don't know. I kept trying to go back and forth as far as which one kind of started influencing some listening styles first. So one would be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Not Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Wow. I
think I understand what you're trying to say.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Well, that's a little bit better. I went back full time with kids today. My brain's fried. But no, one of the first tapes I think I remember having and purchasing was He's a DJ, I'm the Rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of tracks on there that, and I just kept, I'd listen to the whole tape over, flip it over, keep listening. And just, it was one of those things that I really started, getting into that side, because in my area, there was no radio stations that were playing it. I grew up with basically 3 channels because of where our house was, like in a valley. We couldn't get a lot of over the air. The cable didn't come there, et cetera, et cetera. So to kind of get exposure to that, it was a little bit different. On a kind of a flip side, similar type of style, but very different messages, was a group called DC Talk. A Christian pop group, kind of hip hop-ish group, that I followed and continue to follow. And still to this day, one of the lead guys is Toby Mac. He's gone solo, and anytime he has a new album come out, it's one of the first things I pick up. So just again, getting into that music, getting into that feel, hearing the way lyrics were put together, and I always love things with the beat, and so the fact that it was that style was always something that I was really drawn to.
Interesting. You had a variety. And you make me feel so old, because all of those things would have been way far into my DC Talk. Oh, they're like a new group almost in my world. But anyway, MJ.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
2 words. Boogie Nights.
Yeah. Good night.
So I'm wondering how many of y'all thought of the movie first. That's what I was trying to wait. That's why I did that. When somebody asked me that kind of same question a long time ago, and I remember when I was like super young, and I don't know if anybody's grandmother also had one of those giant pieces of furniture in the living room that was like a record player, and maybe had a cassette and a radio in it, but it was like the size of a table. Well, she had one of those, and I would take some of my sisters and brothers' records and play it. And I remember playing that one on there, pretending to be a radio DJ when I was a kid. And that song, I think it's what got me started in my love for house music, that fast, steady, dancey beat stuff. And so that to me probably was a point for me, is I believe, if I remember right, I was probably in grade school, and just, hearing that dance and that boogie nights and that continual, the what nowadays is called vocal house and stuff. But I think that just kind of did it for me, when I heard that and just felt powerful to press play on the record player and make that song play. So,
yeah, it was a cool thing to be able to play music, whether it was on tape. Tape was actually cooler than record, because record I was never good enough to drop the needle at the proper time. But when it was tape and I could go, and it's like, oh yeah, push play and it's there. That was cool. That was a cool CD. But for myself, probably one of my earliest influences, where I really just, the appreciation for music really kind of started, was my father was a big Beatles fan, and the album that I liked the most was the Sgt. Pepper's, because the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band kind of had this carnival feel, and it kind of helped take you away to this crazy carnival type production show, more than just hearing a song. They were kind of somewhat, there was a flow a little bit, maybe you had a feel that you were watching something bigger than just a band playing. And it was that feel of the album cover as you're looking at that, and all the different faces and different things. And it really was probably one of my earliest that it started to make that my appreciation for music and the love of really kind of, in some cases, a storyline within music, as opposed to, some of the things that today there isn't really a storyline. But at that particular time, I really started to develop that appeal over some of the others. So that was my earliest. So talk about your very first experience of performing. Any performance, but I want one of your earliest performance things. It could be a elementary play, it could be the band concert, it could be your earliest performance. Dan, you're going to start.
Oh, geez.
We rotate through.
I know, but you kind of threw me for a second, because when you started talking about performance, I was thinking of like the DJ side of the performance.
No.
And then you went to other performance. So I didn't do a lot. I was very kind of shy in a lot of aspects, and so, and some of you are like, when you've seen me face to face, you see that side, and when you see this, you kind of go, wait, what? But with that being said, probably one of the earliest things I can remember is growing up. Our church would always do plays of some sort, like youth plays, especially around holidays. And so I still remember, and I think part of that's because there was always pictures I would see of a couple of those performances, if you will, being in front of the congregation and doing those. And then I was in the band, and so those were some of the next things. So when I got to 4th grade and was playing drums, I can remember the band concerts.
Okay. Keep that in mind. We'll come back. There's a follow-up question coming for it. MJ, I'm going to go to you next.
I had to really think about this, and this almost ties into the same thing I said before, but I spent a lot of time as a camp counselor growing up, like even middle school. I was, being a counselor to grade school kids and stuff like that. And me and a couple of the other guys, we would do this morning wake-up show every morning, and it was like a radio show with silly songs and skits and stuff that, they had a half hour to get up in the morning, get dressed before they had to be up the flagpole. And we all kind of did our radio show there where we were playing music and talks and back and forth and jokes and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think that was probably for me, it was over the air, even if just like 8 cabins, that was probably the beginning for me, I would say.
And that was junior high, you said?
Somewhere around there. 'Cause I did 17 years of summer camp volunteering.
Oh my.
And that's probably why I'm not a big fan of wanting children of my own. I was responsible for too many for so long, and it was right at that Ritalin age too, some of them, and that kind of got me a little twisted. But it was, I'm trying to think the year that I went for my first counselor's training camp. It was out on the other side of the state. Chambersburg is where it was at. I went out there for 2 weeks and got trained and did everything. I'm pretty sure that I was probably maybe 8th grade, 9th grade at the most. Somewhere around there. So
excellent. Okay.
I was like Dan. I was very shy. I didn't get into anything. Like I tried to avoid human beings, much like I do now.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to have carried.
But back then, it was I didn't have the skills that I could turn on when I need to. I was a farm boy, so we didn't get a chance to do a lot. I think it's probably why I did the summer camp so long, because it was a chance to get off the farm for a couple of weeks and go somewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's for those
especially field time.
Yeah.
Well, for those who live in a city or even a town where there's people next door to you, when you're out on a farm, there's no one around, and especially no one your age. So going to camp was like, hoo-hoo, there are other kids my age, and they don't have to throw bales.
We had to go a half a mile just for our mailbox. That's how far out we lived.
Yeah. I feel like I have to go a half a mile to
commute
from house to office.
Yeah.
That's a long commute.
In the cold, uphill both
ways, snow up to my nose, yeah. Shani, what was one of your earliest performances?
Nutcracker.
Yeah.
As a little kid. As a
little ballet tutu.
No, actually no, because back then all the little kids were the tin soldiers. You weren't in the tutus till you were teenage and higher. So all the young kids are all the little tin soldiers with the hats and the little red dots on our cheeks, and dressed exactly like if anybody's ever seen the Nutcracker on TV or seen it in person. that was me for years doing that little Nutcracker performance.
Are there pictures, Shani?
Oh, there's pictures, but definitely those are not social media. Those aren't even on Betamax back then. I don't have any of those on Betamax or VHS until I was like maybe teenage.
Then
I just have the old pictures. I just have the pictures in the photo album from my parents back then.
So my earliest performance in front of an audience would have been this third grade. I think we did Stone Soup, the play Stone Soup, and I had like 2 lines in the play, and this will be the second part of the question, the follow-up question. So that was my first one. The follow-up to it is, was there any kind of feedback from that first performance that made people say, wow, you're really good at this, or there was something in that for that early time that made you think that you had a future being in front of a crowd, performing or doing something in front of a crowd? Dan?
No.
Not a bit. MJ, how about you?
Even as a young person, before my voice changed, I had lots of people compliment me on my voice. So
you had a chance.
Yeah, there was, again, with the summer camp stuff, one of the people did this thing that they said, we put the girls in an area and the guys in an area, and you go and pick out and make the perfect, person for you, and all the, you picked, the hair, the lips, all this stuff. And when the girls got to voice, they said me. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit. They said, we want to voice, because I would always do these impersonations and stuff. So
oh, nice. You were entertaining.
The voice was always there.
Yeah. Excellent. Shani, what was your...
I mean, that's how I stuck with dancing and how I progressed with going into it full term and doing it and, getting a degree in it in college and everything. So I guess it did work out for me. I guess I was one of those few in the performing arts that actually stuck with it all through my childhood into high school, into everything, and did it in college and then as a career. So I'm going to say yes to that.
And
I think I was okay. I mean, I got jobs afterwards too when I graduated, so I think I was okay at it.
You survived as a child star.
Exactly.
Right.
Here you are.
I'm such a child star from going from the Nutcracker to
here
now.
we are today.
To Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Come on.
Right. Now I think I had a bigger part in Nutcracker than I did in Ferris Bueller when I was older.
And then, so my situation, early on, I had my musical teacher tell me that I had no concept of what music was, and I couldn't carry a tune. I had the person who was in charge of putting on the plays. She gave me a few lines in that first one, and then when I wanted to try to go out for something in the next year, she said, yeah, but how about you don't? So it was basically one of those things that in those elementary years, they were like, yeah, you just are going to be the person behind the scenes, painting the walls or something is where you're going.
Oh, you were a tech.
I was a tech. Yes. I was going to be.
That was your first time of all black.
Yeah, that's where it came from. So that was my first experience of performing and being in front of a crowd and being basically told. It's like, how can you screw up 2 lines? I didn't screw up 2 lines. I delivered my lines, and actually, my grandma said I was great. Okay. So. Next, who was one of the, you don't need, names aren't important, but basically the person who saw you at a point in time and basically was a big encouragement to you. Kind of explain that person and how they encouraged you to take in more entertainment. So it could be later in our lives, but there was a person who basically said, hey, you've got something, and maybe you should look at doing this in the entertainment side of things. And MJ, you're going to be the first one to start on this one.
Wow. That would have been last week when somebody. No, I'm kidding. It's odd. I've done so much in my life when it comes to the arts. I mean, I started as a drawing person when I was younger. I had stuff in national competitions and stuff, and that was encouraged. And as I got, to my late teens, early 20s, I got into dancing, and that was encouraged. And I won all these dance competitions, and DJing was there, and singing was there, and playing instruments was there. Dan, I also played the drums starting in like 5th grade too. but probably it's going to sound stupid. I was in my 20s and my friend John was getting married, and his stepdad, Big Rob, knew me from when I did my dancing and stuff. And this guy, he's just a no nonsense BS guy that I wouldn't even think to stop and pay attention to some dude dancing. All right. He's that kind of guy. Why would he watch a dude dance, you know? Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, you really should think about moving to Vegas. You really have what it takes. And I'm like, you about to sell me, insurance or something? Is that what's going on here? And when he said that, it kind of made me look differently at it and look at that I was more than just a person doing stuff because I love doing it. That it was a little bit more than just for me and for the creative side of expressing myself, that it could be more. So I know that was kind of late, but like I said, the other stuff, I just have always done stuff. So it was always one of those things that I never thought about other than, can I do the next thing? Can I do the next thing? I want to, can I perform? Can I whatever? And that was one that made me kind of think a little bit more,
Shani, who is your person who basically kind of opened your eyes and said, you've got skill, you could do this?
I actually have a couple, just because of all the different stages of my life of doing different performances. And I definitely want to say my parents were there throughout everything. And I was blessed that, as we all know, being in the entertainment industry, being in the performance industry, at the start, it's not big bucks. we all know that. And we need a lot of support, whether it's our spouses, whether it's our family, whether, it's somebody that's always there to support you. And growing up, my parents were definitely the people that supported me when I said, hey, I think I want to pursue this full time. I think I want to go to college for this. I think I want to get a degree in this. I think I want to dance professionally. And, for somebody to say, we have your back, and not be like, I really think maybe you should go on that business degree.
Sure.
I really think maybe you should take, other than the classes that your standard have to take. I really think, so they definitely supported me for my dance career. And, even before like my dad passed away, he definitely was like that dad dancer mom that was among the moms that was like in the front cheering me on, like always there, always made time no matter how busy he was, because he was always busy, always traveling. But if I had a show, he was there. And he even was like, you know what, you have talent. I was like, you're my dad, and it's the cute baby, you're my dad, you have to say that. But I know because of my dad's background and being an OG, he definitely, and being a Marine, he definitely would say what he wants to say, definitely said things that made me cry, definitely. So coming from my dad, I know he would never sugarcoat stuff. And if he thought I had the talent and he thought that, to put the money into my college and if I wanted to do it, he would back me up. Then I really thought like, okay, this is legit. If my dad is not saying like, I'm going to give you some of the books in my office for your business degree. And he said that, then, and then especially having family that backs you really, really helps you out in your career for especially performing arts and entertainment and stuff like that. So as far as like that dance career, I definitely had that. In college, this is a really weird mentor, but because of my whole dancing and after my dad passed away and I was going for the sports medicine and the dance degree at the same time, the athletic trainer at my college became a mentor to me when I was getting dancing gigs that I could have left college and got the gig and walked away without a college degree. So he definitely was a mentor in that way for me, of putting things in perspective when I just had like the blinders on, like I could perform. I could have the lights on me. I could have my name in shining lights, and he's like, yeah, you need an education. like, and I'm like, no, but you never know when you could dance again, So I definitely had him being that person for me. And then when I kind of transitioned into, I know this is a long story, but then when I transitioned into kind of like dancing to DJing, there was an incredible, who I'm still friends with, but the DJ who was, when I was a dancer on tour with Biggie and Junior Mafia, he kind of was the one that actually said to me, you would make a great DJ. And I was like, like wick, wick, wicky, wick, wick, wick. Like I was like that. Like he was like, you would make like, you know, music, you know, this, you watch us all the time. You're like up on your stuff. You are always, you know, in the booth with us. Like you would make it. So he's the one that actually pushed me and got me into DJing. So I have to say, I'm very blessed that when I transitioned into all my work jobs of entertainment industry, that being in such a hard profession, having some incredible mentors that were there for me, no matter if I turned around and said, I'm done, like that's it for me, or if I said, you know what, I want to do this, I want to move here, I want to do this, I want to audition for this, go, we got your back. So I'm very blessed to say that I had some great people growing up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Dan.
Oh, I thought you were going to do this. Okay. So no, I'm just kidding. For me, first off, I do want to say, you know, I had some great support from my mom and from my dad. And when I was in high school, I decided that I heard some weird, you know, ad on the radio station. They were looking for help from teenagers and to do their on location broadcasts. And my mom was like, yeah, let's go check it out. I'll go with you and make sure they're on the up and everything else. And that really is kind of what started my career towards kind of what it is now. But because I started in radio, it was a different setup. But there's one gentleman who I'm still really good friends with. His name's Tom Scott, and he was the guy who you know, kind of came alongside as we're doing different things and our boss at the time was like, listen, if anybody knows anybody that's looking for, you know, some part-time work on the weekends, we've got some openings. We're kind of a skeleton crew and, you know, send them my way. Well, like that was posted on a board, like in writing. Got, you know, the guts up, and I walked into his office and I said, I want to do it. I want to learn. And he said, all right, go to the studio. And Tom was the one that was in the studio at the time. And he showed me all the ropes and showed me what buttons to push and everything else. And kind of gave me my training. And then we kind of always kept in contact. And when I came back to the area, came back to here after getting a degree in radio and still kind of struggling at making a go of it, he really went out on a limb for me here. He was the program director at a different station that was local by this time. And he said, you know, come in, we'll get some part-time stuff for you going. In the meantime, I don't have anything for you. And then something full-time. And he put me in and basically stuck his neck out because they gave me a trial and the bosses above him said, we don't want him. And he said, no, this is the guy that needs to be in there. Give him a shot, give him a couple more days. And like the next day he came back and he's like, you got it. And so he's always been the one that's kind of really been in my corner when it came to that. And even, you know, it was hard because when I said, listen, I'm going to get out of radio, he was the one I went to. He was still my boss at that time. And I said, listen, if we had a different opening or a different time slot, we may have a different conversation. But I said, you know, it's time for me to step away. And we've still kept in great contact and he's always been in my corner. And so that was probably the big one that pushed me in that aspect and within radio. And it's been kind of interesting too, because, you know, with Shani, there's been so many different levels of my career and so many different paths that have come along that, you know, that's been the one that from radio. But I'm going to give it, you know, this, I don't want to get sappy for you guys for a moment, but it's been a lot of the three of you that have really pushed me when it's come to this type of stuff, because I know. But you know, I've often wondered, you know, when I got into this, however, I mean, it was that Sunday night or Monday night down in Atlantic City when I first met MJ and John, and we did, you know, we came on and did this, and then it progressed to what we're doing now. But each of you have had an impact on developing me and pulling me along, because this is not a side of me that I ever would have thought of or considered. And Shani, you know, a couple of different Atlantic cities are driving in. You know, we've had that conversation of, you know, where do I go next with this? You know, what's my next thing? And you guys have come along and oh my gosh, all of our regulars have, you know, really supported it in times where you go, really, is this, you know, I'm a guy who does the events. Like, I know the events. And so when you come alongside and do something else, to have people support you like the three of you have, and our regulars that I just absolutely love, it means a lot. So
Can we
sorry,
just
I
end
got
the
sappy.
show right now? Can we just end the show?
I was gonna say, that's pretty
Real.
much it.
Make a seg.
Thank you. I needed that. Thanks,
Yeah, I
Dan.
was gonna say,
Thank you.
actually
That was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect.
So my situation I had in the late 90s, I had been doing the DJ thing for almost about 10 years. And it was pretty much at that time playing music and not doing too terribly large amount of other things. It was playing music, make a few announcements. But I'd gotten into a string of events at a local venue where we were doing more emceeing. And this is getting towards the end of my teaching time. So I had a lot of experience in front of a classroom, presenting, talking in front of the kids. And that was starting to kind of drift over into my performances, directing traffic, keeping entertained. If I can keep freshmen entertained and 7th and 8th, 9th graders entertained, that means I'm going to be able to handle a wedding room. And now those skills were starting to come across. And I had a venue owner who pulled me aside after we were done, and we sat down. And he's like, "Here, have a beer." It's like, "Well, I want to chat for a little bit." "Oh, okay, whatever." He's like, I see a lot of DJs. He goes, "I think that you've got something." And he goes, "You don't charge enough for what you do." This was the first time of really someone having a semi getting what you're worth type conversation. This is prior to Mark Farrell. And he's like, "You should be 2 to 3 to 4 times more than most of the DJs that come through because you've got a skill that most of them do not have." It's like, well, I didn't think that was that unusual. And it used to be when we had the multi system, this was just at the beginning of the multi, it's like, I just figured I could teach anybody how to do this and they would be really good, or they would be pretty good. It didn't occur to me that there's a part of performing, a part of speaking, part of being in front of a crowd that was innate. It just didn't register until he basically sat down and said, "Yes, what you are doing is different. You've got something. You should be charging more. You should be doing more and being, living up to, in essence, that potential," which was kind of an eye opener for me. Prior to that, I hadn't really thought too terribly much about it. So just some venue owner, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was dead 2 years later. He passed away.
But he dropped his knowledge on you, and that's all that matters.
He did. He really, it was that throwing that out, that opening your eyes to a situation, and saying that, "Hey, I think that you've got something here that I don't see all the time," which just knowing that was kind of neat. But then he didn't just leave it at that. Like, "You're the greatest DJ ever." You kind of hear that as people leave the dance floor at the end of the night. This wasn't that type of a situation. Initially, when he started having a conversation, I figured that's what it was. Okay, great, whatever. He probably wants me to work New Year's Eve for half price or something. And that's where I figured this was going. But it was not that. It was like, "You've been here and you do a great job." So he was a guy that just basically started that. And because of him and Mark Farrell and a few others, we got into that early 2000s. And I look back at those contracts, and it was like $2,000 contracts for wedding, $2,500 and up to $3,000 in those early 2000s. And it's like, those wouldn't have happened without the influence of this guy to opening eyes that in this market he felt that was possible. So it was kind of a cool thing. So as we progressed through our careers, there had to have been a moment where, and this is gonna be a little bit downer on the downside, but this is a moment for us to be kind of real, because it's not always sunshine and roses when you're doing something, when you're building something, or you're putting your heart into something. There's going to be a moment where you're like, "What am I doing here?" Whether something happened or you've had a streak, and if you could share just a little bit, looking back, when you've had that moment of frustration with the entertainment side, what have you, and you're like, "Oh, maybe I made the wrong choice, or this just sucks and I need to modify," whatever it was. But if you could just kind of explain a little bit about a struggle you had at some point in your career, and maybe talk a little bit about how you got past that. Okay, I'd like to let you think about that. And this one I'll actually start, so you guys have a little more time to think about it. Multi-system company. We've got, at the time, I think we had 5 DJs that we were running. And it was one of those weekends where one of the DJs, her engine light came on and she didn't get to her show. Another one, the DJ, her gear didn't work And so I had two events where basically I had couples screaming that they wanted their money back. My particular show that weekend was one of those weekends where it was horrible. No one danced, everyone drank, and then they were obnoxious and there were fights all over the place. I think of all of us, I think Lori was the only one who had a good show. And it got to that Monday after having that weekend of Sunday, the bride's calling from those two events. And, your DJ never showed, or your DJ's, she tried to play on a boombox. What in the world? You get to that point where it's like, this just isn't worth it anymore. I should go back into teaching. It wasn't worth that amount of stress in my life. And it was one of those moments where you realize that, okay, I can't, even though they're employees or they're staff of ours, I can't dictate how they're going to do things. People are going to do things and make decisions on a Saturday night prior to cell phones that I can't control. And all I can do is control those things in which I could control. Prior to that, I think I had this complex where I thought I could control everything and make sure everything went smoothly. And it just became one of those nights where it was a realization at that moment that, okay, I can't control everything. If we're going to move forward, I'm going to have to accept that fact and realize that there's going to be weekends like that everything's going to tank, and we may end up losing a lot of money. It's just going to happen if you're in business, and it was a tough thing to deal with at that moment. Looking back on it today with cell phones, it wouldn't have happened like that at all. But at that moment, it felt like a catastrophic weekend because we went from a typical, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 weekend to we actually lost that money that weekend because I had couples that wanted money plus back, and I had no grounds to not give them pretty much everything they asked for because our DJs ruined by a no-show and by not understanding that the amplifier came out of the plug-in on the power distribution thing. The plug-in was loose. They didn't check it and didn't have so. But that was probably one of my darkest moments in the industry as far as thinking that this sucks, I'm leaving. MJ, you're right under me. I'll have you go next.
This is going to make people question everything about me. I'm going to work from now backwards. It's the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, I don't think it probably was one of these Monday night shows, and you told people in the chat if you could ask any person alive or dead in the entertainment business one question, what would you ask? And Howie picked me and said he wanted to ask, when did you know you wanted to be a DJ? And my answer was, I still don't know if I want to be a DJ. And I mean that because I can honestly tell you it's got to be at least 3 times a decade in my life, minimum, that I had literal end dates to get out of the business. Like I'm done after this show. Mm-hmm. One of the most significant ones is when I was a vocal performer. I was performing at this big youth festival. And that night I had one more show after that and I was done. And that night a guy walked up to me and said, hey, did you ever consider having a booking agent? And I'm like, no, I'm actually getting out of the business. And he goes, well, here's my card. Give me a call next week. Maybe we can talk. And that's when I started through him getting all the national bookings and getting to travel all over the United States and stuff. And it's like things like that have constantly happened in my life. Prior to that, I was, doing the dancing. And then I'm like, well, I'm getting out of this dancing thing, because everybody was back, because I grew up, like in a small town, everybody's pressuring you to live the real, get a real job and, all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of pressure. Like me dancing was like the most unheard of thing, period. Like I really had to take some flack for doing that for a bazillion years. I've had so many people say to me, if you don't build something or fix something, you don't have a real job.
Yep.
And I got hammered by everybody close to me and far away continually. So probably every couple of years I wanted to get out of the business. And I am currently, for those, that follow me on my stuff, I'm currently working on a book. And it's about creativity, and it's about my realization that all those years when I thought I was chasing fame and fortune, what I was just looking for is the next opportunity to be creative and express myself. And I think that is the basis of what kept me going through all the crappy people, bad gigs, there's gigs I went to that like, just like your person didn't have the right sound. I'd go there and they had a guitar amp, and that was they were supposed to supply sound, and it was a guitar amp. And I'm like, oh boy. So it's constant for me. I still don't know why I'm in this business. I have no idea why. And you hear me complain all the time, John. So I don't know what encouragement I can give to people, but find your niche, find what you like, find what makes you happy in this. And like, for me, it's about being creative. So I doubt I'll ever stop, just simply because I just want to continually be creative whatever way I can. So it's weird. I know.
Shani, a time where you questioned your moving forward in the entertainment things.
I'm going to keep it real every year. I mean, there's always events from beginning when I was just starting out and making those big mistakes to now when I'm a seasoned veteran dealing with a lot of issues. For those that really don't know what I do in the DJ world, weddings are just maybe 5-10% of the type of events that I do. I do full on production mitzvahs. So I deal with seeing the same groups of families and kids and adults every single weekend for the whole entire season of a school year. So when you're dealing with friends of friends of friends of friends, they all want, how is my party going to be different than the Goldbergs party that you just did? I'm spending $8,000 with you. What are you going to do to make my party different than my best friend's party? So we're always very stressed out trying to do that wow factor for them and trying to keep everybody happy, because some of these kids are going to 2-3 mitzvahs a day. They're either going to a day party, maybe 2 evening parties where they're leaving one early, going to a second one, or they're leaving mine, which means now I got to make sure I do some wow factors before those kids leave, because now so-and-so's best friends are leaving to go to somebody else's party. So it's very stressful. It's very challenging, but it's also very gratifying at the same time, because you are doing such a big production. With how I still, even though I'm a DJ, I'm still an interactive MC. So when people book me personally, they're booking me as the MC, and then I have a DJ behind me, and I have my dancers and everybody else. So when I'm the MC, that's what I am. I'm on the dance floor, I'm the MC. So on my events, I've had to deal with a lot of, okay, hey guys, guess what? We saw these are the same kids that we've been seeing now for 4 months. These are the bad school kids that, and we have to keep them entertained. So I've had to deal with a lot of situations where within that opening dance set after cocktail hour, where we're trying to do a wow factor, it's like, look kids, Titanic straight ahead. Like, it's just, and you're just like, oh my God, we have 4.5 more hours now. Like, this is like, what the hell? Like, we couldn't even do a 20-minute opening dance set with these people, and we have 4.5 hours. Oh wait, no, there's a montage. So let's take out 10 minutes. Like, stuff like that. But that's when like you're sitting there and you're literally looking at your watch like, oh my God, why isn't dinner coming out? Oh my God, I need to like stop this dance set because we have to regroup. But sometimes it just gets so stressful where you just, at the end of the night, when everything's done, whether it was a great party or not, you just think to yourself, like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, why am I putting myself through all this stress, all of this, when I can't do anything right? Because it's the type of like anyone else in this, and I've called other veterans, I've called my New York friends where all this came from and said, what could I have done different? This is what I dealt with. And they're just like, nothing. There's nothing you could have done different. You have to understand, these kids now have gone to 42 mitzvahs. Like, as much as they want to hear the same music, they don't care anymore. They're bored. They're there because their parents are like, oh, you're going to Johnny's party. You're putting that damn suit on and you're going to Johnny's party. We will pick you up at midnight. Don't text us. So it's like, you got the kids who like don't want to be there, and then you got like parents who are on the verge of getting divorced, but they still had to throw the party, and you got to deal with, so it's like you're dealing with all these obstacles of things going on, and you're like, should I just do weddings? Like, should I just stick with corporate? Should I just play Baby Shark and just do elementary school? Like, I don't know. Should I get back to just choreographing and doing like trade shows? Like, that's when but then again, you deal with that. But then you also, the next week, you have that great event. You have that great party. You have that one client that loves everything you do. And you're just like, Oh, that bad one. Okay. So, but I'm going to keep it real. It's always going to be there. It's always going to happen, even to veterans. It just happens that with your group of people you got to regroup and just be like, okay, guys, put your heads together. What can we do? Okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. Let's do this. Okay, let's stop concentrating on this and let's go to this. Okay, let's concentrate on the 80-year-olds. Let's just do 17 Frank Sinatra songs for them. And you just have to do that. But it sucks. Like, it sucks when you know in your head, this is a one in a lifetime experience. You can't repeat it for the people. So like, that's going through your head. It's not like, oh, we'll do this again in a month for you. Like you can't repeat it. You put so much time into this, how much money they're spending on you, that's going to get thrown in there. Like, I spent this, and you're like, man, like, should I just get a 9 to 5? Like, should I put some khakis on and a blue shirt? Answer phones. Hi, this is Shani. How can I help you? And then you're like, no, that's not me. That's not what I want to do. But it sucks because everybody in this industry, it hits us hard. Like, we take it so personal and it hits us hard. And no matter what people say to us, like, oh, don't take it personal. Come on. We all take it personal. Like, we all take it personal, and it sucks. And you lose sleep and you think about it and everything. And it's just like, there's really nothing you could have done better. If somebody else would have done it, there's nothing you could have done better. And it just sucks that we all have to deal with those situations with the equipment, with whatever we're all going through. But, I'm not going to say it's never going to happen again, because I'm sure, I'm going to be happy when I get back to events again. I just hope my first one isn't a crash and burn one, and then again, maybe I'll just get it out of the way and have it be that crash and burn one. But it sucks that we all go through that. And then the stuff that's going through our minds, because this is stuff that we can't, deal with. It's terrible, but it happens and it sucks.
That it does.
Yeah.
No, I just don't want to. I'm not going to go do any DJing next year now. I just feel the pressure. All those things that do that. Dan, what was your moment?
I've had two different sides. So let's talk the radio side first. And because that was kind of the first time where I didn't get out of entertainment fully, but I was starting to kind of work my way out. So I had kind of gotten the shaft when I was living in Tennessee, when I was working for a radio station there, and got let go, and it was kind of a weird circumstance, and moved back home, regrouped, and I talked, how I got that start again locally, and I was doing it for a while, but I also kind of saw the writing on the wall of radio was one of those careers you either had to move a lot or you had to constantly get worried about getting fired, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go for something else. And so I got my teaching degree, but even at that, I didn't want to leave radio. But my wife and we'd been married right before I started school. And so it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it through this. But I was going to school during the day, and I was on the radio in the evening. And so we really didn't see each other. Like, she would come and bring me dinner, and that was pretty much about the only time we spent together the whole time. And so when I got to the end, it was just one of those things where it just kept weighing on me. Like, I'm not seeing her at all. And then I would do an event on Saturday, and come Sunday, she'd want to go and see her friends. And I just want to lay on the couch and do nothing, because I've been going all week long. So it just weighed on me. And so finally I did. I got out of radio, and I was able to still keep that bug of playing, because I was playing for one of the local bar/dance floors. And so that kind of kept me going, and weddings and that kind of thing. One of the things, though, that's really weighed on me, and this has been the one side of what I do that has kind of sometimes been maybe it's time. It's not been the events. Those have been fine. We've, as each of us have talked about, there's been those difficult events that you go, oh my gosh, maybe I've lost it. Maybe I don't have it anymore. Or maybe, all those people were saying, you're the best DJ ever, and they were just all lying to me, whatever. But, we've all had those, but for me, it's been my boys, and it's been my wife, and with me having the full-time job of having the Monday to Friday teaching job that puts this on the side. I I have a different viewpoint, but I'm also doing that throughout the week. And so then when I'm doing events on a Saturday, and my wife's posting an awesome picture of something she did with the boys, or my son's going camping, and the leaders are going, so are you staying this time? And it's like, no, I've got another wedding, and they're like, oh, that's cool. And in my head I'm going, yeah, but I can't be camping with my son.
Yeah.
Those family moments are really what kind of pulls on me more than anything. What makes it nice, in a lot of aspects, and what's made it to where I can kind of weigh that and play with it a little bit, is the fact that I do have my Monday through Fridays. In the evenings I'm spending time with my boys, and I have my Sundays, so I try to really limit only taking Saturday events so that I can use that extra time. But then also just recognizing that, I take the money that I get from these and I put it into a place. Like, it comes into our account, and it's spent on things to make the lives for us all better. So, if I was in a situation where I was before, where I was only seeing people on a Sunday, I think it'd be a completely different situation. But the fact that I have my evenings, and I'm able to put that money aside for my boys, it keeps me going and keeps me striving. And really, it's those events when you have those nights and you go, man, this was awesome. Like, I lucked out. I didn't, I was so worried the way this season went, what season I did have a one. I had a couple where like things were like going like this, like all night long. And then they were going down, 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 because the couple wanted to go an hour longer than they really should have, and I'm like, man, I really don't want to have my last wedding be like that. I really don't want to have my last wedding of the year be like that. And I ended up with a high note on it. And I'm like, okay, that'll carry me through. That'll carry me through next year. I don't have a target date of when to get out. And so at some point, I think something's going to weigh on me to the point where I need to step away or really downgrade. But yeah. I'll stop there. That was good.
Last one. This one's going to be just a quick little answer, and we'll wrap up because we're just about the end of our time. I'm asking the Magic 8 Ball right now at ask8ball.net. Will there be a DJ Expo in 2021? I asked the question, and it is. Hang on, I did click. My sources say no. We're asking again. My sources say no. We're going to ask one more time. So the next DJ Expo.
Oh, he's a kung fu movie too now.
Yeah, it is. Wow, this is pretty cool. This is good. What is one thing you're looking forward to at the next DJ Expo? You don't need to go into a ton of detail or anything, but just what's one thing you're looking forward to? Might be the first thing you do, but what are you looking forward to for the next DJ Expo? Let's go in reverse order. Dan, Shani, MJ, and then I'll wrap up.
I'm hoping by the time that we had that next one, I can just give some hugs and some handshakes, seeing people some face to face and just enjoying that moment. That's what I'm looking forward to best, is seeing people face to face that I haven't been able to see now for a year and a half, other than computers and Facebook followings. And that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Shani.
If we're talking Atlantic City, the thing I'm most looking forward to is getting off that plane and texting Dan and saying, I'm here, get me, and knowing that when I get in that car, we're actually headed to a DJ Expo, that I get to hang with Dan and see everybody. So that is what I'm looking forward to, if it's that one, because I don't even care if I'm DJing for my sponsor. I don't care if I'm speaking. In fact, I probably don't even want to do any of those at the expo. I think I might just pay for this one on my own dime, and just go and just be fun Shani. I'm not that I'm not fun Shani when I'm spinning for my sponsors, but I don't even think, I just want to all right, Dan, let's go. Yep. And then just not even be on a schedule and just skip. You'll see me skipping. I will be skipping in hallways. I will be definitely skipping in hallways. Yeah.
MJ.
You sure you want to end on me?
No, because I'll follow up behind you.
Okay, then do you want the truth, or do you want the good industry answer?
What do you look exactly what he said?
Yeah, I want the truth. Yeah.
First truth came to my mind is I was so happy there was no expo this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he asked you.
That's what I'm twisting it forward. I hope I don't have to go.
Well, you don't have to go if you don't want to.
I think it's good for my business, but I don't enjoy it. So I go each year because I know it's good for my business.
But we get to hang and like have like a meal and
So you're not looking forward to anything if you go.
It's all one giant stress ball for me. I get there, I do what I have to, I hold my breath, and when I'm done, I get back home and then take 2 or 3 weeks to recover from it. So it's very, very, very good for my career, but it's not good for me mentally or health-wise, mental health, physical health. Nothing about it is something I look forward to ever.
So you're looking forward for your business. We'll leave it at it. Let's try to make it a little positive.
It's extreme. Everything about that is extremely good for my business in so many ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, from networking to getting, like Shani says, DJing for the sponsors, which that was, to me, it's not something we necessarily make money off of, but it's probably one of the highest things in my entire DJ career is getting to spin for Denon on that floor. I just feel special. I feel like I'm all my work means something at that point.
Sure.
And like we've all put a buttload of work in, like Shani said, we're so emotional about what we do. I literally think the first time I spun for Denon was probably one of the best days of my entire life. So
for myself, of course, seeing friends goes without mention. To be able to, do hugs again and face to face will be awesome. But the part that I'm looking forward to the most, specifically DJ Expo Atlantic City, is going for a simple walk on the boardwalk with my wife. There's just something about walking on the boardwalk. Lori and I walking down there. It might be 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just walking down and seeing the sights and the smells and the seagulls doing their thing and trying to get run over by those little rickshaw carts, whatever they are. It's just those are some of the things that outside of the actual event itself, the walking in Vegas where we go and just go walk with the two of us, and especially in the winter time, when you can't do that in Minnesota. But that's something I'm looking forward to. Along with what
I'll be skipping right by you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be skipping past and
I'm at DJ Expo.
and then we'll walk past the funnel cake, and there'll be Ben Stowe gorging himself. It'll be great. We have to skip. Thanks, David. Well, Dan, that's it for tonight. Tomorrow night, Ben Stowe is going to be doing his gift guide for DJs. So for those of you out there watching, after tomorrow's show, you can share that link with kind of drop some hints. He's going to go and find some different gift ideas for DJs at different price points. So that should be kind of a neat little show for tomorrow night. And then the second show tomorrow night, Jay is going to be going and picking songs that he thinks that Brian and I would like if we were having our own little backyard party. So he's going to have some songs for John's backyard party, and he's going to have some Brian Red songs for Brian Red's backyard party. So we're going to see how the guy from Temecula can do. This could be very interesting. MJ, what do you got Wednesday night? You're on this week, right? Yeah.
I don't know yet. Probably going to skip this week.
Oh, come on. We did such a great job last week. Your guest was fabulous.
He was. I so appreciated my guest last week.
That was just an awesome guest. Well, Wednesday nights, MJ does the music and mixing show. You guys can go catch out past episodes and such, and he does that one Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern. Yes. Excellent. Other than that,
the real time zone.
Yeah, sure, the real time zone. So I think we're good. We are good, Dan. Take us home.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking some time to join the four of us, and hopefully you just laughed, because that's what we were all about tonight. We just wanted to be lighthearted, have some real moments with you, but also make you chuckle and enjoy your evening. So thank you very much. Next week, who knows if it'll be all four of us, or maybe we'll just have to bring in another person and make it 5. We just keep getting more and more people as we socially distance across the country. I don't know, but thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody.